Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. This goes out to my brothers and my sisters in the world today. Stay on the right path, the righteous way, 'cause you can. Yes, you can. No to drugs and no to crime. Don't stop what you started till the finish line, 'cause you can. Yes, you can. Be focused and be positive and always be keen, 'cause you can reach for the stars and touch your dreams. Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
What we want to establish at the end is peace. But even before peace, we would like to have justice. We would like to have justice. If we have justice, then it means that the peace that we will have will be long-lasting. It will be a sustainable peace.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. This goes out to my brothers and my sisters in the world today. Stay on the right path, the righteous way, so you can. Yes, you can. No to drugs and no to crime. Just stop what you started to the finish line, 'cause you can. Yes, you can. Be focused and be positive and always be keen, 'cause you can reach for the stars and touch your dreams. Yes, you can. Yes, yes, you can. Yes, you can.
In December 2008, the Israeli government began a massive bombing campaign of Gaza, followed by a ground invasion. In just over 3 weeks, at least 1,500 people were killed and over 5,500 were seriously injured. The majority of these deaths were civilian women and children. The following interview was conducted during that time. We speak with Ahmed Al-Disi, a 30-year-old Palestinian-Canadian refugee that has never seen his home in Jerusalem. Ahmed is one of over 5 million Palestinian refugees worldwide. Like many, he is involved in efforts to raise awareness about the plight of Palestinians.
My father became a refugee when Israel was created, and he was forced to leave Palestine. He was also born in Jerusalem. And we all lived as refugees. And you know, my dad passed away as a refugee. He was 64 years old, and he stayed as a refugee. And I hope that I myself do not die as a refugee as well. We want to go home. I'll tell you what my dad told me. Like, my dad, in 1948, he was 5 years old. And when the violence erupted, he was in Jerusalem. And Jerusalem was actually still a Palestinian land. But because of the violence, his father, who passed away, decided that they have to leave. They can't stay because they were not safe. And you know, they didn't feel that they could raise their kids in a normal way. So they chose to leave. Now, as a matter of fact, my father himself always tells me that what my grandfather did was wrong. We should have stayed and we should have fought for our land. As a 5-year-old kid, I don't think my father was very much aware of what was happening. As a kid, you would be horrified. You would be frightened. You would feel unsafe. My grandfather basically owned a house. He owned a land. And basically one day he found that he can't stay. He had to leave because the massacre of Deir Yassin happened, and people were fleeing, and people were not safe. So, you know, they left their houses, they left their homes, and they thought that they will come back after this whole thing ends. They thought that, you know, it's going to be a temporary leave. We will leave for a week or two, maybe a month. But they never came back. There's like 26 massacres that happened between the 1920s, when the violence escalated between the Palestinians and the Jews. And people basically that did not participate in the violence. They were just ordinary people that wanted to live in their house. But because of the violence, lots of people just left. They took their kids, they took what they can take, what they can carry, and they left. So some of them went to Jordan, some of them went to Syria, some of them went to Iraq. And basically, from that date till now, they are denied access, or they are denied entry to Palestine, to their homes and to their, to their lands as well. What Israel did after that was they issued a law which was known as the law of the absentees. And basically, that means if you were absent, if you weren't in your land, then that makes, that basically meant that the Jews can take the land. And they did take it. We were absent, we weren't there, and they had the law, so they took our land.